Hello and welcome everybody to this endgame video. Today we are going to discuss about king and two pawns versus a lone king. So this is a win unless the black king captures both the pawns or can capture one pawn and stop the other. So opponent can rarely win, but I've seen many players who do not know the correct way to win and to convert this endgame. So the first position, before looking on the first position, if you haven't seen the previous two videos that were the basics and which will refer in this video, then you can check it out. The links are in the description. Also you can click on the I button right here and you can check that video out first. So the first position of today is we have the two pawns on a7 and b6. Black king is on b7 and the white king is on e4. So it is white to play and white has two connected pass pawns which are queening like this right here, and black king is defending both the pawns from queening. So the task is white to play and you have to find a pattern by which you can win it smoothly. So if you want to try, you can pause the video out and try it by yourself. Okay, so I suppose you have tried the puzzle out by yourself firstly, and to see out this puzzle, it is that we are going to queen on a8, but the king will take it and then the pawn is not in time to queen by itself. So the idea being we have to bring the king out, defend this pawn and then sacrifice this, and the king takes and then we can take the opposition and we have to win. So if you have seen the first move to be a8 equals to queen, king takes, let's make the moves, a8 equals to queen, king takes, then king comes here, but then black will come here directly and then you defend the pawn. King is ahead the white pawn, so black will be able to hold this. So the first move, a8 equals to queen, does not work, but the move which works and is the answer to this puzzle is king comes to d5. Now here king will come to a8. If you move ahead to c6, then you have blundered a stalemate and black takes away a draw. And if you come to d6, king b7, and now you have to defend this pawn, but no, if black takes this pawn, then it queens. So wherever, let's say the king goes to d7, a8, king a8, and now wherever the king enters, it will be a stalemate. So this is not the correct way with which we can solve this puzzle. The correct way is king d5, king a8, and here the only move is king to c5, defending this pawn. Now when black king goes to b7, you can sacrifice this pawn by going a8 equals to queen check, king takes, and here you take the diagonal opposition, and also you see that the white king is on the 6th rank. So opposition does not matter in any position. When the king is on 6th rank, it will be a win for the side having the pawn. So black goes king b8, b7, king a7, king c7, and now it's a forced mate in 3, just like this. King comes here, queen, king goes here, queen to b3, king comes here, and it will be a checkmate. So this is how the two pawns can be promoted and we can defeat the opponent. Seeing on to the next position, which also occurs many times in the game and players are not able to convert that game. So moving on to the next position. Okay, so the next position is the two pawns are on b3 and b4. Black king is on c6 and the white king is on e1. So here it is white to play, and you can see the pawns are not connected but are doubled, and they are moving here, they are heading here to queen, and the white king is not so close to them so as to support it and win the game directly, whereas the black king can jump here and capture both the pawns. So the task is, it is white to play and you have to find a clear mating pattern or a clear pattern with which you can queen your pawns. So you can pause the video and try it by yourself. Okay, so I hope that you gave it a try to this puzzle, but seeing to the solution, we can see that the pawns can't be pushed at the first sight, yeah. So the white king has to move. So let's say the king comes to d2, which is the most natural move to think. So here, if black king goes to b5, then it will be a severe blunder, because after king c3, it is a direct win for white. You might be wondering how, but let's see. If the king goes to b6 here, then king will come to c4, king comes to c6 taking the position, then we give a check, king b6, and now here if we push the pawn, then it would not be a correct way to queen it, and at the last we'll draw the game. So here the correct move is white coming king to b4. So this was the idea behind this move, and now you can see you can win the game easily. If king to b7, then king c5 now. So we just took a waiting move, not here we can't go king c5 directly. So we waited. When king comes to b7, then we come here, and now let's say he takes the position, then b6 check, king b7, and again king to b5. He comes behind, we come here, he takes the position, b7 check, king b8, and now we get the value of the second pawn. Here if this pawn weren't here, then it would be a draw because king comes here and it's a stalemate. But we have the second pawn here, so we can play a waiting move, that is b4, and then after king a7, king c7, we are queening directly. So this was the way with which you can win with this position. Also here note, the very tricky line here is king coming to a6, and now here if you queen, then it's a stalemate. So here what you can just do is you can give a check, and now if he takes, then you can queen, and if he does not take, comes to a7, then also queen with a check, and it's a mate. So this is how you solve the position where king was on e1 and black king on c6. So here after king d2, king c5 is a severe blunder, king b5 is a severe blunder, but what black can try is coming king to b6. So the idea behind is, now you might ask, why not king to c3 directly? So this is a mistake because black wanted this position exactly. Now black comes to b5 and the king, white is in zugzwang and white does not have any move. If white had to say pass, then it would have made progress. But white has to move his king and then both the pawns are lost. So the idea behind king coming to b6 and then to b5 was just wasting one move. So here the correct move or the correct idea to play with is king coming to d3. Now if king comes to b5, then king c3, and it's black to play, and this is the exact position where we saw the king coming directly to b5 and we win the game right here. So here king does not come to b5, but instead he goes to c6 again. But now we take the opposition, he comes here, we come here, and now this is the exact way with which we can win it. Let's see the entire variation. Here directly check comes here, then we come here, behind, here, check, here, and now we have the move b5, b4, and he comes here, we come here, he goes here, check, he takes or does any other move, and then we queen it and win it. So this was the way in which we can win this pawn endgame, where the pawn were doubled here. The king was on e1, black king was on c6, and the pawn were on b3 and b4. Moving on to the next concept, where the two pawns are isolated. So let's move on to that directly. The pawn is on a4 and pawn on c4. White king, let's say white king is on b1 between the two pawns, and black king is on b6. So in this case you can very simply win it with white. Let's say if it's white to play, then you bring your king here. If black attacks both the pawns, let's say to c5 or a5, let's say a5, then you defend both the pawns and then bring your king inside, and then you start ruling both the pawns and you win it directly. Also here if it were black to play, then what you can do is, let's say black goes to a5, then the simple idea is you can push the other pawn. Here now if king comes to a6, because he can't take, then we'll queen as per the square rule, and if he goes here also he is behind the pawn, so you'll win it. So king comes to a6 and then you go king to b2. Here king comes back here, let's say, or if he comes here you protect this pawn. So let's say king comes behind and you bring the same position, but it's one rank ahead, and with this technique you can easily win this game. But here if you see, if the black king is 2 ahead, let's say the black king is here and it's black to play, then of course black will be able to capture both the pawns and win the game. And also we have to note that unless one of the pawn queens, then only we have to move it. Otherwise we have to keep both the pawns on the same rank, and then we have to keep pushing just like this and keep the same position but one rank ahead. So this was the 2 pawns and a king versus a lone king endgame, which is very simple and very easy to master a pawn. So the first position which we saw, that the both pawns are connected and are passed pawns right here, and how we can win it. The second position, both pawns are doubled just like this, and how we can win it. And the third position, where the two pawns are isolated, and if the king is very near to both pawns, then it's a draw, but if it's far apart, then it's a win. So I hope that you like this video on the 2 pawns and king versus the lone king endgame. Also, we are coming up with various other endgames, going through this entire book and going to master the endgame. So stay tuned to this channel, subscribe to it, and if you like the video, do hit the like button and pour on the comments in the comment section. So this was for today. I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, play chess. Goodbye. Bye bye.